Okay, let's get some youth entrepreneurship into the conversation. And as I said, I'm feeling a little bit younger this morning. And of course, again, it's Friday, so I have the right to feel this way. Charles Odile is the founder of the SME 100 in Nigeria, and he's done quite a bit when it comes to youth enterprises. Of course, I guess I must have missed that because of my age. And that's why I haven't really been invited. So they've got another one coming up next week. This time, I'm likely going to be there. I will try and just sneak in somewhere among the youths. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope I'll be allowed to just sneak in next week.
Absolutely.
And so maybe sit at the back before anyone recognizes me as an old man sitting up front where the youths ought to be the one doing learning. How much have we done when it comes to youth in SMEs entrepreneurship? People think, well, those who do entrepreneurship in this part of the world are those who are retiring. I'm not nearing retirement yet, so don't look at me. But for those who are nearing retirement, maybe you just get laid off or you're getting out of the civil service, then they think, well, those are the ones who should do SMEs entrepreneurship, really. Is it for the young people who are just all hot-headed, everything's running, the hormone is really strong, and they're raring to go?
Right. So two things I'm going to address as regards this. First off, we've had in time past, usually, especially here in Nigeria, elderly people going into entrepreneurship and then now having the young ones come work for them. And if you look at the statistics in Nigeria, I think our former finance minister...
No, don't tell me he's going to have a young guys now doing the entrepreneurship and asking an old guy like me to come work for them.
No.
You guys want to reverse this trend. I'm resisting that.
No, but if you look at the high impact companies like Uber and Airbnb, all of these are birthed by young people, and then we don't see the case in Nigeria. And then the case is not the case the same in Nigeria because of a couple of things.
Yeah, that's the issue. Look at Twitter, Facebook, and the rest. They just look like guys 20, 25, 30. What doesn't happen here?
Yeah,
what are the key issues here?
No, I tell you this. Very early in the year, I was in the US and I visited some schools, and you could see that at age 7, at age 8, these kids are taught to write marketing literature. So they're running their classrooms as businesses. And then as they move to another class, they pass the business to the younger generation. And I looked to myself, these are the guys that our guys in Nigeria are going to compete with globally. And you come to Nigeria and, the reverse is the case. Young people are still learning times table. They're not taught about how to, how to innovate.
The mathematical table.
The mathematical table.
When overseas they're already doing STEM.
I'm telling you, they're using salt to conserve power. They're doing different things with technology, and young people are driving enterprises in the US.
So you think in terms of education, we need to go down these days from perhaps nursery, kindergarten, putting their fingers right on it to get started rather than wait until they're university graduates?
Absolutely. And then when they now become university graduates, they're not looking for jobs. So you see, when we have a population about 70 of them under the age of 30, and all of them are looking for jobs, and there are no jobs, who's going to employ these people? It's time to shake up the system a bit. Get these young people to now start being employers of labor. First, that's like you said, it has to start with our educational system. We have to look for ways where we can imbibe entrepreneurship development studies in our educational system. I know some universities in Nigeria are already doing so, but we need to encourage it.
Because you want to start entrepreneurship when you are doing National Youth Service Corps. That's interesting, isn't it? You're teaching those who are already
ripe for something else, and then you now say half of them should go to the farms.
You should do it at NYSC.
Yeah.
All of those folks say, no, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do anything like that. They know how to spend money already. They don't want to learn anything.
At all.
It's too late.
Absolutely.
At NYSC orientation camp to start learning how to weave baskets and do carpentry and joinery. That's too late in the day. It doesn't get done like that. But what are you teaching them in Nigeria here? Well, if you put 100, 200 young people together, what are you imparting to them?
Right, so these are guys who have learned different things and from different trades. So those who are graduates who have started businesses, we help them to scale up their businesses. We teach them digital skills. We teach them how to market their businesses with a shoestring budget. Most of these guys don't have the monies like the Coca-Colas and the big organization. What they have is very little. So we teach them how to make do with those little resources, leveraging technology, leveraging social media, and also we teach them vocational skills. So the non-graduates, we teach them how to do makeup. We teach them how to repair phones. We teach them other skills that they can use to earn a living for themselves. And one training here, one knowledgeable person there, before you know, poverty is out the window.
Keep them. Is it basically keep them busy?
Right.
Keep them busy. Is that also all about financial literacy and things like that?
Yes, absolutely. So financial literacy in two parts. We teach them how to manage the books and how not to get bankrupt very early. Then we also help them with resources. So we know organizations that are giving out money for these small businesses in terms of loans and grants, and then we get those organizations to come in front of them and tell them how they can access the money that they have for them.
So you're actually linking these young ones who are entrepreneurship directly to those who will put some money on the table to get them started.
Absolutely.
Now, Lagos State is looking at, for example, to ramp up on what you called creative education, set up schools and things like that. Is there anything you're working along this line, talking to the government at some levels, local, states, perhaps federal agencies?
Okay, so we're talking to them in state and federal. So in the state, we have something coming up next week, like you said, the Lagos Small Business Summit. And then we're shaking hands with the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. And the trust fund is a 25 billion.
Oh yeah, I remember that money. Yeah. I always remember it because of the money. I remember the 25 billion because that's what you need to get a banking license. So that figure just sticks somewhere in my head, 25 billion. Yeah. Yes. So how much, where's that money, really?
So that's the problem. So the money is been, like 80% of the money is going to people above 40.
And years of age?
Years of age. And
okay. That's my age. Okay.
And the executive secretary...
Unless it's coming your way, because I'm older than you. Okay.
Right. And the executive secretary of the Employment Trust Fund is worried and is of the opinion that young people need to start to access this money. But then there are other metrics to accessing the money. First of all, they have to pay taxes, they have to be in Lagos, they have to have done one or two things. But he's doing a lot to make sure that the money goes to these younger guys so that they can actually start businesses, grow their...
Yeah, because young guys who haven't really had any job, where will you have paid taxes?
Yeah.
You've got to restructure the rules.
Absolutely. So those who haven't done businesses before, I think there's a way they can access the money, but it's quite cumbersome, just very similar to the CBN Intervention Fund. The CBN Intervention Fund, for instance now, is money for these SMEs that the bank is supposed...
With the bankers committee.
With the bankers committee.
Yes.
And they're supposed to lend to these SMEs at 9%, right? At a single-digit interest rate. Meanwhile, the SMEs are not getting the money at 9%, they're getting that about 20-something%. And that is scaring them from even accessing the money. So it's just a whole...
I've got to ask Godwin Emefiele about that. Yeah. Because this money is about 200 billion.
Yeah.
With the one in the central bank.
Yeah.
With the bankers committee. It's about that. The banks themselves pull this money together and they said it's going to be around between 5 and 9%. And you say here that
the banks are giving them at about over 22%.
So what we just read is newspaper story.
I'm telling you.
In reality.
It's cumbersome for these small businesses to access the money. Very cumbersome. Very, very cumbersome. And it's by this way, you see a lot of these guys not growing their enterprises. A lot of these guys don't have access to growing. And then it affects the economy in the long run. So we're talking about high rate of unemployment. It's going to keep going up and up because these guys don't have... Now, there are two ways. They say, oh, you need to put your books together. First of all, what do you want to do with the money? Some guys actually know what to do with the money. But then the money's not there to help them. And those are the guys that we're talking about. We're not talking about the guys who take the money and go to improve their economic mobility. We're talking about the guys who actually know what to do with the money. They're finding it very, very hard to access the money. Very hard.
We have to take that up. But if you look at the broader economy, the bigger economy where both young and old will coexist,
right.
Do you think the economy generally does not really encourage young people in entrepreneurship?
In Nigeria?
Yes.
Yes, it's not really encouraging. It's not encouraging in two ways. One, first off, the know-how. These guys don't even know where to start from when they just go through the educational system in Nigeria. They come out, and when they don't get the jobs in the oil and gas company and the banking company, and they're frustrated. So you see them coming in the street, you see some of them being janitors, you see some of them being taxi drivers, because they don't even know what else to do. All they've learned all through their life, go to school, learn something, come out with a 2-1 or 2-2, and then find a job. Now, the banking and oil and gas firms are going to advertise, and when they advertise, they're advertising for the first class and the 2-1s. What happened to the 2-2s and the third class? Who's going to employ them? The guys who employ these guys are the small businesses. So the small businesses are the guys who are saying, you know what, come, I'll teach you this thing, you learn, and then by so doing, reducing the high rate of unemployment in Nigeria.
Mentorship?
Mentorship, internship, fellowship programs. The small businesses actually absorb these guys who the oil and gas and the banking sectors will not touch, because they probably came out with a 2-2 or a third class. So it's the small businesses. Small businesses are the highest employer of labor, but these guys are not really encouraged in Nigeria.
When you do these classes and you bring these youths together, what do they tell you about their frustrations, their key challenges? One-on-one.
I don't think I won't say that on national TV. I don't think I won't tell you that.
Just don't name names. So, just don't name names.
So, I mean, the frustration has eaten deep into their households, their ways of life. So, you imagine someone who has come out of school and not finding something to do for 5 years. And then he's in a taxi and he's telling you, and he's showing you on his phone, this is my certificate. Bro, I'm a 2-2 graduate, you know, and I've come to you, please, how can I learn something? How can I put together a few resources and start something that can eventually grow? You know, and some of them are like, you know what, government is, then they start to lambast the government. And then we are like, you know what, calm down, forget about the government. The government has never helped anyone. You have to help yourself. Learn something and put it to use and be meticulous about it. So we teach them about even the awareness of society, supply and demand, what your market is. Because imagine one of them coming to you and saying that he's in the food business and he says that his customers are 180 million Nigerians must eat food. No. 180 million Nigerians must eat food, but 180 million Nigerians are not your target market. So we now start to teach them about your target market, who they are, where they go, what income, what age, geographical location. And by so doing, when they understand that simple regiment about the business model canvas, then their businesses will thrive and their businesses will do properly.
Is there anything in this particular arrangement that target particular age bracket, or are you just looking at anyone who is young?
So anyone who is young, because of the disturbing statistics, Nigerian statistics. So if we are saying we're 180 million people and 70% of us are under the age of 30, if we want to grow the economy and we want to reduce the high rate of unemployment, it's in time to start to focus on these young people so that they can grow enterprises and by so doing employ people and then reduce the high rate of unemployment, and then there's economic mobility for a lot of people. That's how we're thinking. And then we're now starting to advocate for these small businesses. You know, that's why we're doing the Lagos Small Business Summit. I don't know if you heard about the issue last year with the Lagos State government demolishing some small business offices in Ikoyi. I think Nolly Juice and Nosabal Cakes. This caused a bit of uproar with these small businesses. And then, so we started the summit. So at the summit, we bring together government, private sector, academia, and these small businesses to a room to foster conversations about doing business in Lagos. And then every year we feel the impulse of these small businesses, and that crystallized the focus of the summit. Now there's a panel which is doing business in Lagos, and the panel has the Commissioner for Commerce and Industry, the Chairman of the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, LIRS, the Commissioner for Local Government and Community Issues, because people ask, why the Commissioner for Local Government? What's he got to do with this? He's got a lot to do with this, because when we ran the polls on our platform, a few of the people were complaining that they have paid the taxes with the LIRS. And a few guys now come to the room to say, pay radio and TV license fee. Bro, I don't have a radio in my office.
Who has radio anymore?
You know, so why are you telling me to pay this fee?
With the music and the radio stations on my phone, who buys radio these days?
Right. So why am I paying the fee?
Even the Baba Alajo has everything on his mobile phone handset. I have mine here, but I'm not sure anybody who still buy radio these days. I haven't gone to the market to see who buy radio.
So the small business owners are now still taxed on the radio license, TV and radio fee
by the local government.
By the local government, and they don't understand this, and that's why we.
I have a radio in my car, perhaps you're going to tax that. But unless you're going to remove the radio from my car, and put it somewhere and say, we're boasting, just remove your radio and put it there so that I can put some tax on it. But that's a little bit, it's way out of this world.
Right.
If that tax is just an issue. But again, I just want to understand the radio tax. But you can't always argue with the tax man. The tax man is always right. That's what they said. But again, I don't know about radio. About radio tax. Charles, let's get together someday. Right. And if there's a space for me next week, I don't mind sitting there. You can teach me some new tricks. Let's see how that goes. Okay.